please silence our phones so that our poets will not be interrupted. Second, we like to snap our fingers for applause. Can everybody snap their fingers for applause? Thank you, Karen. And third, please, while enjoying the poetry tonight, understand that these spoken words are strictly the opinions, feelings, views, and thoughts of the poets expressing them and are not directed derogatively towards any person or parties. Again, these are the spoken words of the poets, so let's sit back, relax, and enjoy while these words of the poets enlighten, inspire, inform, and entertain you. Now get ready to indulge in some great poetry spoken by phenomenal poets that are here for your entertainment tonight. Your first host of the evening is a man who voluntarily teaches poetry to students in grades 2nd to 7th at Melcher Elementary School. He writes what he likes to call thug poetry. He writes about what he's seen or done in the streets. His poetry is strictly to make you aware of what is going on in the ghettos of the world. He is working on a book called Poetic Thoughts. I give you Sincere.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I'd get a shout out to God. Without him, there will be no nouns, there will be no verbs, there will be no ears to be able to hear what we're about to witness tonight. So I want you to look to your right and grab your imaginary seatbelts, clip them tight, because Bold New Poets is about to take you for a ride in your life. First, Brown O'Brien has been doing competitive poetry since 2000, back when he was in school. He has been a mainstay in the large spoken word scene since 2003. Originally from Wilson, North Dakota, been kicked in the head by Method Man, freestyle with Vanilla Ice, I bring you Brian O'Brien.
Good evening. So I'm going to be a little serious. My mom would have been 48 years old today. It's kind of a weird day for me, so I'm going to use that. This is for her. It's called Mental Health Voltron.
Let's go, Brian.
Maybe it isn't insanity. It's probably just sanity. Rationality refracted by the fact that it's hard to understand a man like me. I got a habit towards seeing calamity, all the places where damage could be an over-practical Cassandra cataloging catastrophe, catalyst for confrontation, murdering the situation, mundaneness mutating a monster in the making. No quarter for a pause or awkward pacing, but it's not negative space, it's just truth he's been embracing. The resolute rarely lose, and the true shoots with nickel plating. Whoever refuses to choose is the first to lose in any given situation. I feel every loose groove in the slip and the pulse is grating. Migraine, headache, and an almost lucid hallucination of a stupid, confused nation, where truth is some nuisance that hits my friends in the heads before escaping, where a bunch of dirty, greedy little animals just seem to me to break things, and only a handful of good people ever make the push to do great things. And you're all still waiting, like you don't care. Maybe you're just lazy. Screw it, I'm the sane one. The rest of you are crazy. And I have been so sick of myself lately. I'm uncomposed, compromised. New pressures are chasing me daily. I've been erasing faces placed in my brain's darkest spaces, trying to break self to save me. Another self-hostage locked in his own bondage, and it's time I break free. I guess what I'm really saying is lately I'm just sick of me. And this is not some emo poem. I'm just attempting to be real, because there's this itch that I can't scratch, and really I don't see the appeal of the feeling of uneven breathing, leaving me reeling. It's evil. I want to rip the doubt out of me, finally be my own sequel, and I'll claw it out word by word because I am sick of how I feel. I am just sick of a lot of people. I try to keep things equal, I mean on an even keel, but it seems to me like most people actually seek to be deceitful. Their chaos keeps crashing, clattering constantly. It's hard for me to be peaceful. I'm not complaining about everyone. I'm just sick of the weak-willed. Fuck it, I'm just sick of weakness, those feelings that sneak in, seeking to reveal bleakness, beaten into each of us, and that we believe that we can't beat it. I seek a sequence of words aimed in the direction to free us. The only problem is I don't see it, and I'm sick of feeling speechless. And there are other factors that I'm sick of as well. And a data page contains the space to tell me what this page displays is placed to maintain my mental health. I feel crazed these days, lost in a haze. Other days feeling far from well. But today is the day that I finally feel sick of feeling sick of myself. And writing poetry will never get you laid, but a gram of coke will. Most people will abandon their standards in pursuit of a cheap thrill. The good die too young and the monsters never get killed. We grow tired from when we aspire. We fly too high and the fall weakens our will. How many of us are manifesting a destiny unfulfilled. Sometimes I just sit and listen to the clock tick, and it's a toxic little pill. Life's not fair, but I find that malign times only serve to strengthen my will. I am an unhinged derivative, approaching the broken limit. I am slowly but appropriately growing into less of a cynic. When the clock ticks, sometimes the seconds seem like minutes. Sometimes the sentences assembling seem unlimited, and the sentiment seems implicit, regardless of what way words work when written. Other times, tentative talking turns tensely timid, and the words aren't working, and the premise feels limited. Yeah, life's not fair, but at least we were given it. At least we're still living it. I refuse to waste another day with a face stained so unappreciative. I'll feel grace to pace this place, even if it isn't all sugar and cinnamon, because this poem is an alarm clock's warning. Each word is ringing. It's waking up the snoring. I have hidden subliminal signals and visceral symbols. The process is complex. Your monsters are just something you made up. They live inside you. It's no wonder your stomach is ate up, and this is my attempt to break up your bullshit. So quit. There's no need to feel so sick. You can expose your phobias and get over them. Grow some composure or just go with it. And even though the idea is easier said than done, it still needs to come and should keep the mind spun. At least that's the perspective that my mind comes from, even though I still have demons that I can't outrun. It's all part of the process of who you become. The harder it is, the better the payoff. You could either choose to display greatness or stay lost, but the courageous can only be born from chaos. Woo!
Please give it up again for Mr. Brian O'Brien. My phone's kind of hot right now. All right now, gonna move right along. Since a very young age, Serenity has always been fascinated with the arts, music, and literature. She started with music and creative writing, which eventually turned into poetry. For many years, she has used this art as a way to express feelings, release emotions, and share personal experiences, many of which she wrote but still has not shared. Since 2009, she has begun a journey to share her experiences in the form of spoken word. Serenity hopes you can laugh, cry, and rejoice with her through her poetic adventures. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Serenity.
How's everyone doing this evening?
Bless.
I'm going to talk about love, basically the ugly side of love. I'm just going to go into this piece. This morning, my boyfriend told me he loved me, but in the same breath, he said I was ugly. He said if I ever left him, no one would want me. I didn't believe those despicable lies after he told me he loved me, because no one feels pain after pleasure. The sting of discontent doesn't feel like anything when you numb it. Words are more powerful than you think. One misused can tear through your heart like a silk stake. All is fair in love and war, but what about an abuse? After the verbal sings, he hugged me, kissed me so softly, and told me once again that he loved me. But how could this be after saying such things? My confusion feels like a cornucopia of things, none of which resembling pain. So I bask in the moment, for I know when he hits me with his words again, he hunted and killed my happiness like an Indian does his prey. His words were his spears, and his target was my self-esteem. I thought a relationship should be healing, but instead, I am left battered and bruised. Abuse comes in many forms, with verbal scars are seldom seen. They exited his psyche, pierced my skin, and left me with a wound that required several hidden stitches. They exited his mouth each time I thought he was going to encourage me. Instead of encouragement, I was hit with his verbal fist. How can you love me and then tell me I'm ugly? Just as easy as he spoke those words with his lips, just as easy as he went to give me a kiss, it's just as easy as I decided to end this, because if you love me, you wouldn't tell me I'm ugly. You'd be there for me, you'd encourage me, you'd support me. I know words are just formations of letters and syllables, but they can also be the formulation to enrich someone's spirit. Encouragement instead of determined, enrichment instead of contempt, enlightenment instead of bewilderment. Baby, you have done none of this. Instead, you confuse torture with bliss. Who taught you how to love like this? Because when I think of love, I recall scenes from Romeo and Juliet, how they sacrificed everything to be together, drank poison just to be with one another. But instead, you crucify me, then tell me you love me. I thought a man's love for a woman was comparable to how God loved the church, and God would never ridicule it. So why would you ridicule me, then tell me you love me? Positivity is praise is what I want to hear from your lips. If you love me, you would know it takes more than a hug and a kiss to camouflage the damage you created with your ignorance. Your misfortune has taught me that although a man loves me, doesn't mean he won't scar me. I know that he can ultimately kill me with just his speech. Let's stop verbal abuse, y'all. Thank you.
This was the white linen party. All right now. Give it up again for Miss Serenity, please. All right now, the next person I bring up, he's pretty good too. The other two were pretty good. I think they were pretty great. What do y'all think? All right now, new to the spoken word scene, born and raised in Kansas City. He feels that with words come a great responsibility. To those that listen, he says that even though Kansas City has seen its share of blood and tears, we can never let our cities become a burial ground. With unity within our communities, we can become stronger than we have ever been in human existence. A man who is on a quest to take things back to the basics. He is one who possesses many skills and talents. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Miles McMillan.
As you look at me, you may think that I was just a child that was born the day that I entered this room. I was just another child born. But in all actuality, it was at that precise time on that precise date, 11/28/1978, I was strategically placed.
Yeah.
Blessed with the gift to look God in the eye and the devil in the face. Hearing echoes through souls with men with egos. Seeing tears drop from clouds with silver linings. Like Frankenstein, I just wanted to exist. But the more I learned, the more I got pissed. Above all, I panicked. I panicked because there's so much knowledge written on so many trees that I may have chosen the wrong things to read. I panicked because I may not be living my life to the extent that I should be. I panicked that God may not remember me. He may not remember the mouth that was once sick and disease-free. I panicked because we're slowly being dehumanized into lacking morals of respect and integrity. They ruthlessly strip God from our everyday lives. I panicked because there's no longer time for fun. Most of our folks are out here living and dying by guns. I panicked. Lord, I panicked because this generation might be facing the final stages of demoralization. I panicked because we're living on a nationwide plantation. I panicked. Satan in the flesh once stated Adolf Hitler. He said, give me the music to a generation's youth and he will rule the nation. I panicked, man. I panicked when I noticed that nobody noticed that the system replaced water with liquor, coffee, and Coca-Colas. I panicked. I panicked because there were so many levels of desensitization. From video games to TV down to radio stations. They mold in minds while we're asleep. I panicked when they stole our focus with this so-called American dream. I panicked because envy and greed drove materialism into thinking money over the souls of major goals. I panicked when I learned that amongst families, hearts could turn ice cold. I panicked. I panicked because we're witnessing a war against good and evil unfold. I panicked when I saw the satanic Super Bowl halftime show. I panicked when I noticed when I heard this theory, it made me uneasy and weary. They said that as a young black man, we are incapable of controlling ourselves. They say guns and watch them kill themselves. Because we're just considered raw material. And we're treated like bacterial infections. Strategies were put in effect with perfection. Like bacterial infections. Strategies were put in effect with perfection. War tactics were used on us, and it divided us up into sections. Since 1492, if you even hinted at having a clue, they introduced us to noose. Now, over 500 years later, they utilize genocide and 20 million excuses of why they're closing all of our schools. Because there's so much knowledge. We know so many trees that I may have chosen the wrong things to read. Because God may not remember me. He may not remember the miles who was once sick and disease-free because this world somehow got the best of me. Thank you.
Can we give it up again for Mr. Martin? When my wife told me we ran out of diapers, I panicked. We have a controversial spoken word performing artist, event organizer, slam host, a mind blower who has been performing spoken word since 1994 in Atlanta, Georgia. Moved to Kansas City in 1997. Has been organizing poetry events since 98. Won his first KC Slam in 98. A man whose performance's art was featured as the cover story of Pitch Wiggly in 2005. He is the host for the Uptown Slam and co-host for the Word Wednesday Poetry Show on KKFI-FM. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Nightlight Jones.
Yeah! How we doing? How we doing, Nelson?
All right.
I said, how we doing, Nelson?
All right.
How do you know who's having a good time? This guy.
When Michael Jackson was still a black man, I played Miss Pac-Man. I rode Falcor and I saved Ferris. You grew up in the 80s and I know that you might share this. We didn't land on Fraggle Rock landed on us. Giving me ability to transform with Optimus Rhyme. My mic saber clothes the shade of phosphorus lime. I want my MTV and Mr. T cereal. Madonna taught me the world was material before it came venereal. I pushed the buttons of assignment before I broke my first hymen, way before I started rhyming. Is it the big hands attack that gave me the gift to gab? I don't know, but we turned off the lights listening to Thriller in the bedroom back when my pillar was Max Headroom. Thundercats on the boob tube, Rubik's Cube, Flux Capacitor, Knight Rider, Fat Boys, Hubert, Big Wheels was my delight provider. Burning happily, I think I'm turning Japanese, I think so. Double Dragon, Double Dutch, Patty Cake and Garbage Pail. I felt her pie like it was cherry braille, just to find songs in the canary jail. In life, we all make our own scary tales. In life, we all live our own fairy tales. Anyone that was born to be wild would not lose the identity that made up their childhood. Anyone that was born to be wild would not lose the identity that made up their childhood. Anyone that was born to be wild would not lose the identity that made up their childhood. Now, my most favorite day of the year. It's gotta be Halloween. Halloween is my most favorite day of the year. Y'all like Halloween? When reservations disappear and it becomes festive to be suggestive. The one day when women give each other high fives for looking slutty. I want my zombie hookers bloody. I want the wicked witch to make me her bitch and the sexy cowgirls to walk on me with their spurs. I want the naughty nurse to take my temperature. And I tell those dirty cops where to put that nightstick. Trick or treat. It's the candy behind your panties that I want to eat. It's the sweet between your cheeks that make me feel complete. One holiday where it's okay not to be discreet. And I'm not sorry at costume parties. I beat my skeet. As I watch erotic angels make out with dirty devils, my perverted state of mind reaches post-polluted levels. I want to see lesbian librarians teaching sultry schoolgirls deplorable morals of authentication. I want to see naughty nuns finding salvation, spanking Pocahontas out of desperation. I want sexy sailors bound captive by cave women jailers in the sea. Little Bo Peep partake in strawberries. Shortcake. I want pirate wenches pillaging booty of I Dream of Jeannie and Cleopatra corrupting bumblebees in black and yellow bikinis. I want to see dominatrixes being me's. Because it's only them I would obey. On any other day, Halloween would be called role play. Where else can you get a Queen of Hearts right next to a Rainbow Bright? I ask myself, why can't it be like this every night? And November 1st, we resume the same everyday costume, which we wear from womb to tomb, that we use to blend into society, playing victims of our opinion anxiety, thinking that we can't do this every day is where we mess up. So treat every day like Halloween. Dress up. It's not all the time for fun and games. Poetry is also about growth and waking up and expanding one's consciousness and spreading awareness. That's why we're the voice box. We are the mouthpiece of our generation. And we thank all of you for being the eardrums. Okay? This is a symbiosis here. You having a good time?
Yeah.
All right. Any people willing to trade their freedom for temporary security deserve neither and will lose both. Benjamin Franklin. All water on Earth is 3.5 billion years old. Once you package it into plastic, it has a 3-year shelf life. We are the bar-coded sheep sacrificed by the wealth knight. Wake up. Open your eyelids because your hybrids really run on coal. When you buy into their system, you sell out your soul. High fructose corn syrup is population control. It's damage untold. GMOs in the corn and soy. Forced sterility is our government's ploy. Infertility. Come on. Mother Nature is not a toy. Cancer or cavities is just a clever decoy. Their aim is to destroy us for their way of life, and it won't be long. The way we are living is wrong, and we need to say goodbye. No one getting used to the chemtrails in the sky. America's whole design is to make you die. It's no lie we haven't had a real president since JFK. Corporate puppets aren't meant to save the day. Sugar-coated, spoon-fed, and forced to obey. We let them poison our water with industrial waste. Not under the guise of taste, but because it's good for our teeth. But you can't eat toothpaste. Domiciles the public for the agenda brewing underneath. Thanks to Uncle Sam, our whole existence is a scam. The reason they call it a TV program is because that's what's being done to you. Turn your backs to the screen and become the change long overdue. How are we not to misconstrue history being erased from the encyclopedias? Because they've taken control of our media, who embody lapdogs of the Illuminati, all shoddy and insincere. It's never been clear the smoke and mirror of the propaganda lights. The end of sovereignty and liberty couldn't be near, and it starts with the Miranda rights. Wake up! They put chemicals in everything from your vegetables to your makeup. Silver in your teeth, aluminum in your armpits, chemicals in the water for flavor, saying it won't harm it. Get mirror alarms and smoke detectors. Provoke objectors that will list them, evoke defectors of the system. Now I know what I'm saying is grim. Would up to Uncle Sam, Daddy's tadpoles won't swim. I'll get on a limb and say it's coming soon. Wake up, free yourselves, cut the string to your balloon. Rise above push button microwave convenience. Liberate from cowering under slave allegiance. In the grave from cancer is their answer. You all expire hopefully by the time you retire. The citizen combustion engine doesn't need any dead weight. The red states misled hate spreads bait with unsaid fate at widespread rate. Don't believe me? Look ahead straight at the TV screen. For your head sedate at the lies in between the lines of the machine. My barcode will read 13-777-78. I'm not here to convince you the earth isn't flat. This isn't open for debate. If you have a favorite reality TV star, it may already be too late. Society is asleep, counting themselves as sheep, and viewing the institution as its herder. Finding symbiosis through hypnosis with top-blind acceptance of pollution and murder. Wake up, they put you in line to make you behave. Wake up, it's that line that leads to your grave. With cell phone radiation, how much brain damage can a baby get? The answer, we don't really know yet. Is our communication really worth the regret? Only 50 years ago, doctors were endorsing cigarettes. Wake up, Kansas City. Wake up, Nelson. Wake up, Earth. Wake up, people. Wake up! Thank you.
Coming to the stage is kind of shy, so you're gonna have to really bear with him. He's kind of nervous. Y'all probably know him. Let's call out Mr. Sincere. All right, now I'm gonna read this one because see, last week a good friend of mine named Woody's brother got killed, and every time I read this, at least 3 or 4 people get murdered in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. So
yeah.
This is really just to bring awareness. Anybody know what this is?
Yeah. Oh, but
everybody has looked in here and seen somebody they know. And you're lucky when you look in here and you're not in here. This is called The Call. As of right now, it feels like I'm crying invisible tears. As I reflect over my life, over the past few years, like, why did I have to grow up in a neighborhood where no one ever gave their real names? Or why is the only time blacks wear suits when the Lord calls their name? Why do winos stand on the corner and ask to borrow $1? Knowing they would never pay it back. It just makes me want to holler. 2 clips on the table full of things in the neighborhood that OGs call 3-9. I mean, Big Red shot his pistol and hit Little Man in the leg, but Little Man is quicker and filled Big Red for the leg, so now the victim becomes the attacker. For that reason, he is dead. Ronald was literally stabbed in the back by his drinking buddy. Little Mama said no matter how much he scrubbed the carpet, it still remained bloody. Somebody got in his feelings for getting called out of his name. Now his buddy is sober on the news. Lil Cortez, 18, just graduated with honors and picked up little homie from the 9 while he parked, the bullet hit his brain with fatal penetration for being at the wrong place at the wrong damn time. G-Paul shot himself in the neck with his own 12 gauge, while Tricky blew his head off in his own drug rampage. Monroe was shot in the heart over a female in the hallway of the Oaks. Lost my cousin Roderick at age 15. This has to be a joke. Cousin Mike D died before he was 30. Lord, please send an angel because the hood needs you in a hurry. Boogie got killed trying to steal a Raiders coat. Only 14 years old? Damn, this got to be a joke. Jamil got robbed and took a few to the head. If Petey Stamps wasn't working on his house at the time, he wouldn't be dead. May this be the truest and the realest words I ever wrote. On my own tears, may a young poet choke. YG lost his life because he swallowed too many pills. Lord, please, again, I ask you, how am I supposed to feel? Young Nicole, may my honesty allow me to just let the pain go. Even when it's hot in my hood, it's still 20 below. Young Gerard flipped his Lexus at the age of 15. Patty had a heart attack at 20. Still, what does it mean? Deshaun got murdered in his own front yard. I can't stand the fact that the devil feels like he's in charge. Chubb was shot and burned because they wanted all this money. This nonsense must stop. This shit was never funny. Big homie shot his baby mama in front of his kid, then turned the gun on himself screaming, I don't want to live. Quarters, a special friend, died at the age of 22. Now I stand here all alone wondering what am I to do. And to top it all off, that's my best friend Pooh. He had a closed casket. I had to carry my dude. My brother Jermaine died at the age of 28. I swear, KC, how many wakes must we attend before we awake? Every time I read this, another black man falls. Can't see, let's get it together and stay out of the call. This poet coming to the stage has 3 different focal points. First, streets. Second, spirituality. And third, emotions. His goals are to reunite the streets, the church, and business in the black community so we can once again work together like before the integration period. He wants to reawaken ourselves spiritually so we can have a consciousness, understanding that things we are going through physically is a projection of what inwardly conflict and connect ourselves with our Father. The name Young I Am derives from how he is starting to be himself through his Father's eyes, the great I Am. Without further ado, I give you Young I Am.
I just do this one piece, and this piece is the wrestle. Is something that connects to me dearly. Hopefully, it relates to you all. I sit in this stressful peace as I wrestle with me in this vessel of me. Though I look as if I'm at ease because I formed a fine practice action, acting as if I'm free, but I'm fasting, vastness, chanting, change chats to my past tactics spiritually. Though Jesus is my passion, caption, Captain King, dreams my everything, and the thought about talking about his name just causes my soul to sing. Sometimes it doesn't help this self-wilted plea. Kept sheltered deep, spiritual heat harassing me. Clashing, contractions, contraction, convesting, contesting, compression, the corrections, connection to this complex, caress, compassion he has for me. And this burning my every thought as if I'm burning ashes inside of me, that my last life was lived like I was Sodom King. I mean, all sin is the same thing. And spiritually wise, I criticize Jesus like I was Sadducees. Mentally child, I minimize the love device he had for me. Strive to divide, survive, deny him like the next generation will rise into like mine Pharisees with this heavy-hearted heart. I should be a part of Pharaoh's breed. Because if my soul searched, I have set Pharaoh's greed and have done so many Pharaoh's deeds as if I signed Pharaoh's creed. So why have I not be following Pharaoh's destiny? As I keep failing every test of me, and his narrow mind corresponds his steps in me. I know, Lord, that this is me, yet you continuously keep blessing me with your love, simple complexity. But the fact that I am unworthy, the fact that I am still dirty, the fact that these uncontrolling factions yet still hurts me, just as to the fact that the fact is I know nothing. Worthless if thou desertest me, you see not. Only do I not deserve thee, but Father, I don't deserve me. Before you urge, searching me, burden. The ideal that you chosen, this idea for real still irks me. You took time to work earth and curve me, nourish my purpose before you birthed me. But this temple in your image that you merged me on my mental, you see this, I broke me. Hung on to sin's rope while it smirked low and then choked me until life and death, Lord, I curse me. So I know I'm unfit to serve thee. But why in spite do you serve me? Master, I do not know. But every day when I strayed away, you still woke me. Though I was unthankful, my right mind, you still clothed me. And when sin wins to blends in and provoke thee, instead you just bled, shed, and re-rolled me. But in spite of what you showed, told, and exposed me, I still push away and desert thee. And as I yell as loud as I can in my mental, something opens outside of me as if a window in a mirror in my head, closer than this paper and pencil said, I am the one who sent you. Why are you playing as if you're the victim, preying on your past and dealings, betraying your wicked sick symptoms, praying with your earthly heart? Yes, you've hindered you, but I wanted you weak so I can strengthen you. I wanted you sick so I can store healing you, to be unfurled soil so I can quicken you. No one can recount what I've forgiven you. Grudge, love what men do, and that includes you. Telling me how many times have I eluded you, and through trials and tribulations I improve you. Sent my spirit to soothe you while you ministers and use you. I am perfection and so are my vessels and blessed tools. So as long as you're in me, then I will remain in you. And it's just that plain and simple. I said, Father, I still remember. Even after that day you vowed me, and I vowed, see, I was stretching upon the mind which cloud me, assisted me when I defiled me. And I still stand, sneak within the sin which defiles me. Got me saying, I once was lost, but now I'm found. I once was blind, but now I see. Bound to the law, but now I'm free. When this sin I tend to sneak within, it's still towering over me. It's like I am a hypocrite, and I am sick of this because you blessed me with your spiritual truth, teaching me since my spiritual youth, and I just gave your spirit abuse, forcing him to witness my spiritless rules. And he said, it's not about you, concentrating on the past I buried. I forgive, and you just worry. I know your past, I wrote your story, but all things good and bad was for my glory. Let me reiterate, what you meant for bad, I made for good, because all things work for my glory. So much that is sitting here before me, saying what you did before me, recalling those times when you ignored me. Consider what you could do for me. If you truly loved and adore me, then you would seek my sheep to teach my sheep. Teach my sheep to lean on me. I am your rock, so lean on me. Tell the world and live in me until my second coming comes to be. You know?
P is for promoted, A is for assassin, and D is for decaying. E is for every, and S is for scenario. Please give it up for Spades.
How y'all doing the Vote the Poets event tonight?
Glad.
They tried to restrict me like handcuffs. Key word. They tried. See, they tried to restrict me like handcuffs, but they'll never understand my game plan Superman tough. So like I'm pointing high, just showing what's up. It's like that cup that's too full, oh, I have had enough. I get bucked like deer do. Hater? Where? Who? Because I've sit him down, school him with rhymes and call it Dr. Seuss. My reactions to their actions draw lines like fractions, and the devil wouldn't cross it as if rush hour traffic. Now I get asked this question all the time. What make you shine like wine-colored cars in the summertime? What? I tell that sucker I'm bred from the divine. Though an imperfected image, his ways are defined in me. So every verb that I do and every word that I speak comes from the highest point as if Moses on the mountain peak.
Woo.
I say, y'all, teach me. Not how to, love me, but to stay on your path because Satan like Dre, even throw his faces. But see, I'm a star with angel security guards. How many of y'all know the devil will find it hard to touch?
Yeah, yeah.
Evil is disgusting. But it wears the mask of the prettiest substance, clones itself and walks in abundance, blending so well with the beginning among us, but yet it deteriorates life. So I call it a fungus. See, you can fall like a bird that's been shot but alive, but when the creator is your glasses, all you identify. Satan is a lie. He tell you to give you the best, but he only pays with life. So I call it a reality check. Check the status of your home. Babies talking as if grown. Growing up a TV show. Showing them another life as if a Christmas ghost. But it's not a gift, it's a curse. And we still take those Christmas gifts. We perceive the death like we in the fast lane. Like the highways in Germany. That's pretty fast, man. Too fast to maintain, and yet none want to slow down. Getting on rowdy like they party at a hold down. These boys made rules, they call girls hoes now. When girls' legs 24 hours, they never close down. And we okay with that? No, pineapples, no, not, no. Yes, it is. Give me the example that got sampled by kids. Immature in the practice, it only gets worse. Now they passing it down. Your pastors call it generational curse. Cursing after grown like they age match stairs. Please, step your vocabulary up. The library got stairs. Believers got prayers. A do that. An earthquake must be in heaven, shaking up your faith. Faithfully you plant the seed between the lady's knees, and though mothers are the trunks with the branches, the fathers lead. Father me is what the daughter won't. But how many of us know men her age can't do what a father won't? Son growing up without a dad, and then resisting the one who delivered him like a cat. I apologize, because I think for this next couple of minutes, our really just got mad. So I see I need to get deeper. Let's talk about them friends left hanging like beepers. Beep Turk coming out the club. Oh, but now she on the news because that same dude beat her. And that child's speech,
same little child goes missing. Younger conflicting with the old. We all have cell phones. How often do you scroll or go to contact our persons growing old? Every day they're getting closer to no soul. But now, you'll be at Walmart or getting that PS3, that Xbox that's sold at midnight. But can't even call our loved ones to tell her, good night. Because you were homie's wife. But homies with another boy. Playing with each other, but y'all too old for toys. Sitting in church wondering the same thing. Why I come every week if I'm going to do the same thing? 9/11 happened. The crash of 2 planes. Everybody celebrate the death of a man who didn't even fly the plane. But when is it okay to celebrate the death of somebody? No matter what he did before he died, to somebody he's a somebody. Killing is a sin no matter what you say, and yet that death penalty still given anyways. And now families got pictures so that person never fades away. But if L gave life, or God gave life, or Creator gave life, who the hell are we to take away?
Woo!
Let me calm down. Let me calm down. But you see, it's hard to stay calm when your palms look like you're in boxing rounds. They tell me, think outside the box. Well, why do you put a box around? Y'all in my head like surround sound. Oh, that Jesus is seen, but yet that how sure is never around. Images, false. Truth, lost. And at the cost of one soul, lie to the world, allow the devil to be the boss. It's not a battle for your soul unless you make one. Heaven or hell, your only choices. Make one. That's that piece.
Woo!
Corporate thugging, money plugging, evil to be televised. Real recognize real, but you barely recognize. Identified as inanimate, you don't exist. So like the toilet in the morning, oh yeah, they got you pissed. You assist in the pyramid, classified minority. Ironically, it's minor, though it holds the majority. I get rich, but you can't scam. I get to voice how I feel about a certain individual on this stage. That is amazing. Snap with me if you're still with me.
Yeah.
You should bring it to the stage so we know it's real.
So I know it's real?
Yeah.
All in favor of me bringing this person to the stage, say aye. Aye. Jones, before you leave, do me a favor. Would you bring the young lady to the stage for me, please? What theory doesn't matter. How many of us believe in second chances? How many of us believe in 3s, 4s, and 5s? Well, this right here has probably been, I'm only on 3. They say the third time's the charm. Everybody, this right here is lingerie. It's one of the most beautiful women I've ever met in my life, and one of the most black My name is Faze. It's nice to meet you all.
Jared thought about his allocates and the notable people who he shared the stage with and opened for, and the places spoken word has taken him. But none of it gave insight to who he was. None of it he felt mattered. So when we asked him to submit his bio, he simply said, "Tell him I love Jesus."
All right.
Gentlemen, I bring you reality.
Bless.
Amen. I'm doing one piece. I haven't done it in a while, so y'all pray for me to make it through it. This piece is called Women Are Not Bees. I cuss 10 times a year. You're going to be cussed 12 times tonight. I ask a favor. All glory to God, none to me. I can barely see out there. The brothers, if you understand what I'm saying, throughout this poem, stand up. It's not for me. This is not what I'm saying. The boys probably get offended by this. Here we go. Pray for me when I make it through. As a young man, I seen things that I didn't understand. But as I became a man, it became quite clearer. I used to hear the things that my father would say to my mother and wonder how he could say those things in the same breath, saying that he loved her. I, watched as our God-given queens of the Lord, I stripped them to me, my words to the very fiber of their self-esteem. Now her face may miss the flight of your fist, but your words are direct hit, landing, squarely in her integrity, weakening the very fiber of her womanhood. How could this be? I watched as she digs in and takes a fighting stance or fighting record tears of threat to spill across her face until the release. And it tastes of each tear is every time you called her a bitch and told her she wasn't shit for. You said she wasn't woman because she couldn't see, but she believed it. Or you called her a hoe and they failed. A tramp and they failed. A trick and they failed. Now they run down the face like free slaves that they fought for the only earth they ever knew. And now their tears are streaming and physically standing tall, but her spirit is huddled, screaming. I'd rather feel his fist than the sting of another word. Yet you continue to belittle her. Our women are not hoes, tramps, tricks, sluts, whores, or bitches. Now she snaps, she wrestles the physical, but she got her emotions raging. She feels like she has no other recourse, so she resorts to violence and she hits you. Now you a man's man, so you ain't standing for that. You figure she put herself in a man's place if you reach back and leads with all your hate. Take that for even challenging me. Take that for having more than you can stand. And how dare she fight for her right to be by your side as your God-given queen.
Yeah.
So you can demean her. I seen her spirit crumble to the floor in a ball where she would just die, but no, she stands there tall in the physical, but mentally cramped. And they fail. A trick, and they fail. Now they run down the face like free slaves that they fought for the only earth they ever knew, and now the tears are streaming and physically standing tall, but her spirit is huddled, screaming. I'd rather feel his fist than the sting of another word. Yet you continue to belittle her. Our women are not hoes, tramps, tricks, sluts, whores, or bitches. Now she snaps, she wrestles the physical, but she got her emotions raging. She feels like she has no other recourse, so she resorts to violence and she hits you. Now you a man's man, so you ain't standing for that. You figure she put herself in a man's place if you reach back and leads with all your hate. Take that for even challenging me. Take that for having more than you can stand. And how dare she fight for her right to be by your side as your God-given queen.
Yeah.
So you can use to demean her. I seen her spirit crumble to the floor in a ball where she would just die, but no, she stands there tall in the physical, but mentally and spiritually she's huddled on the floor, probably forgot to her to be, and she's wounded, and she's broken, and she is defeated, and I reach out my hand to her and watches her soul melt to the waves, flickering like a candle caught in summer breeze, as the essence of the willpower diminishes until it fades away to a smoldering glow, as she exerts these verbal lacerations, blow after blow, until finally she lets go, and her essence, her essence, her essence, her essence is flying in the wind, and I can see her will to fight, leave it as her fingers begin to slip, and her grip and her integrity begins to loosen, until it too is lost. Buried somewhere deep within her eternal abyss, and she feels like all she has left, pieces of who she used to be. Scratching found an empty fan that used to be so full of life, but slowly, ever so slowly, that changes. She accepts her role, and her clothes become tighter, and money becomes a mode that she refers to herself as a bitch. And all started not from your fist, but from your words that hit. But what you don't understand is this. See, it's part of her self-consciousness. See, it's easy to be that trick, that champ, that slut, that hope, that bitch. After all, she is. You told her so. And when she finally flips the script, the first thing you say is, see, I told you that bitch wasn't shit. Right. And when I think that it can't get no worse than this, and so begins the metamorphosis, she begins to morph to that bitch you called in front of the kids because it melted, made her laugh, and really made her smile in years. Or that trick to steal with fanatics and cash and all your traps and this, but we're going to use the word that who here sounds like a bitch. Our women are not hoes, tramps, tricks, sluts, whores, or bitches. And I won't stand for the longer, but when a man checks a boy, he begins to explain away. Dog, I'm not saying she's a bitch, she's got some bitch-like ways. Negro, please. God made man his own likeness, and God gave man dominion throughout the land, but man was lonely, so God gave him woman. Since woman came from man, she is part of him. But remember, God gave man dominion to label everything.
Wow. Watch yourself.
To label everything. The connection is biblical. You wonder why your words cut so deep. The Bible says it's power, life, and death in the tongue, so don't act surprised when women commit suicide and never measure up in your mind, eyes, and I challenge you to stand and be a man instead of thrown together like Voltron or modern-day Decepticons, settling these lies and wonder why they transform like Optimus Prime, and it hurts. And it makes real men cry. Because when it's in the effect of these words in verbal genocide. I'm telling you now, that's why I pray for the heart of these fellas to get a new edition and change these boys to men. Because only then will they understand that she's a queen. Flesh of your flesh and bone of your bone. And when you disrespect her, you're disrespecting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're only hurting yourself. Our women are not hoes, tramps, tricks, sluts, whores, and they're definitely not.
Would you die for life? Do you live for death? Unplug what you have been spoon-fed by society tonight. I hope you don't forgive me for changing your view. Please hold a grudge as long as possible. I will never forget the day I found my identity. Walk with me in my immersed perception as I show you a glimpse of my world. Thank you for dying. I give you Trey Newman. All right.
I just wanted to spit. That's it. But before the crack of lips, he stepped with bold belligerence, delivered me the sentiment saying, poets, man, they only saturate in tears. Writing sentences about how sensitive their mental is. Whoa. Are you serious? Pay attention, degenerates. See, we are full of enlightenment, cellulite, without soggy skin. Insecurities. I noticed you run from them. I wrestled defeated demons, hide I went obvious with this pen, made them suffer. With the grace of Easter supper, watched you suffocate upon stanzas aimed at circumstances. The damage has been embedded. So I watch you sleep inside the streets, while underneath my sheets I remain a freak of Mother's nature. She can nurture you back, bro. And he said, nah, that's homo behavior. According to Jim, currency It's what puts the world in its current spin, ignoring words with friends, but encouraging this distribution of a frozen controlled substance in his thug stance. He said, these sugar bricks should give you numb lips. Skip college and I hustle college and get enough bread to be the muffin man, but these taco shells make you salsa dance. His ignorance inspired the Sphinx to prance. I pounced on his head when I said imbeciles. They only mumble blunder when they don't understand. Only brute organisms build barbaric systems of solving issues. Hot lead, we both got issued. I saw him packing that pistol. So I chose to move him with the flame bleeding from my pencil, penicillin in my pen. I have to remain on point with my ink-filled needles. Needless to say, your statement inaccurate. Due to your low acronym, the world, it has no current spin. I knocked it off axis on accident. Currently, I'm on a current with Captain Kirk and friends out of orbit, exploring how origins of cosmic chaos be forming civil organizations in my spaceship. Then I condescend through your conduits of consciousness, exchanging incompetence for common sense. Because this intelligence will give you numb lips, make you drool a bit, go Google it. Because you don't get it. What a mental midget in prison within a perverse perception. Trapped in a cell along with your nucleus. I ain't new to this. My saliva, it'll douse your whole insulting and soulless. I watched him violate with violence. Because you closed-minded and intolerant to enlightenment. My lightning hits and thunder strikes like K. Durant after my assault. He most likely needed some Tylenol simply because my lexicon is so involved. His lexicon is not evolved. Just because I mix Eddie Murphy's mom with nursery times, I birthed rhymes so delirious. I put it into him, period. Demonstrate. He menstruate. I put blood on the wall, cerebral hemorrhage when I was finished. You still believe poets are soft? We just relax. Reclining our pineal glands, landing in the land of transcending tranquility, trespassing my pasture. You tripping harder than DMT. You gotta be ludicrous to disturb my peace. I won't allow bowling ball attitudes. I put pins down, go a few rounds, cause mama said knock you out. Ever been conscious in a coma? I just wanted to spit. Give them something to believe, like we was born to be excellent. Can't you see it's in your genes? So speak, poet, speak, but make sure you do it clearly because someone mute you. Now you really on deaf poetry. But even after all my logic and my theory, I had the mother. So you ignorant niggas hear me.
What?
The second piece I'm gonna do, I didn't write it when I was writing poetry or whatever. Like, it happened when I was, like, kind of involved in street life. I ain't that thuggish or whatever, but I was kind of, like, but I was on my way home one time. This dude, he came up to me, was like, where you from? Mind you, I can actually, like, it's dark outside, but I know where my house is. It's, like, a block away, and I can actually see it. Dude comes up to me, where you from? Nigga, like, nigga, I can see my house from here. I've never ever seen you around here, so how can you come up to me, you know what I'm saying, trying to antagonize me when I've never even seen you? You better be lucky you from the East, nigga. So when I did start writing poetry, I thought back to that time, and this is... Where you from, homie? The last thing I heard is I observed the squeeze of the trigger. A rhythm. Of bottle rocket black cats was the brief flashback as a backstabber was about to turn me into a wetback. I guess that I crossed that line. 3 o'clock in the morning, Trey o'clock. I guess you could say it was my time. I had a fine wine lifeline. I got better as time inclined. Drip, drip, tears slip like iodine. As I die, I cried with blind eyes as my white tee had just become tie-dyed. Maybe if I had a response, I could have homicide his homicide. So when he said, where you from, homie? My response should have been something like, the motherland. Where the father didn't bother to contribute, but constantly continued to conceive continents, as free as consonants on that fortune wheel. So compliments to his incompetence, because his ignorance only gave me more common sense. And the motherland,
who's birthed nothing but leaders, world changers, and artists like Langston, Martin, Tubman, and Huey Newton. She still had a few crazy wild niggas. She just named them Tarzan. And the motherland, she can't provide for her own. Why? Dude, because she's a mother, doing it all alone. Where you from, homie? I am from a world where below average has now become our average. Yeah. But little lasses, they throw chances if they can't get a boyfriend that's tatted. Make sure they keep up on their double D gluteus maximus, but ball hog their classes. Never passing. I guess it's because of all the missing dads and the young lads, they be just as bad. Treat women like their blunts hitting, passing. Can't see the pain in their eyes because they wearing that mask. And where you from, homie? I am from a world where an insomniac can dream, dream, dream without the fear of nightmares, but seeing darkness within himself like nightmares. So he screams, 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 shattering his enemy, which is identical to his identity. Now when they tell him the sky's the limit, he say, man, don't limit me. Where you from, homie? I am from a world where corporations are orchestrated by Satan, producing projects, placing them in places that we call the projects. They say they're going green because they want our youth to sprout up like mad plants, but planted in poison is our problem, which is why we have seeds with no future, like a used condom. Where you from, homie? I'm from a world where you can catch a beat down from the H1N1. Swine. As slick as the spit that they spit when they cuff them. So we really don't mess with pigs like we Muslim, because to us, they the reason the innocent ain't breathing. And while we sitting at home with a t-shirt saying free Big Steve, and see, it's just us. So when we take our own just us, we get judged. Where you from, homie? I am from a world where poets are enemies and vigilantes, giving life sentences to save lives with their senseless sentences, but sensitive to all their citizens. We are male enhancers, scratch that. Mind enhancers. If you have a low IQ, we can get it up in this one mic with this one mic and call it a one mic stand. With your mentality, let us hit it then quit it, like you're smoking your last cigarette. My crew spit the meanest spoken word, and we fly sky high, cut it. Tell them why we angry birds. Where you from, homie? I am from a world where I came from him, where forever he reigns, but with him never a rainy day. So go ahead, send me to him with a shot to my head. You heard what I said? My God be the bomb like Ahmed on 9/11. Where you from, homie? I am from Adam, from Eve, from dirt, from trees, yin yang, good, bad, mom, dad, fire, pain, happiness, love, crying out that I am from you. So before you pull that gun out so slowly, asking me these questions, see, I know where I'm from. Question is, where you from,
She is a dynamic spoken word artist, minister, teacher, and motivational speaker who uses concrete imagery and her spiritual and unique view to convey messages about life, hope, love, dismay, glory, and God. She is a 2012 Arts KC Awards featured artist and recently performed at the Starlight Theater. She has also performed at the SCLC Martin Luther King Festival 2009, Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network June 2008, and many other events too numerous to mention. She released a CD of spoken word poetry entitled Delilah's Deliverance, The Makeover 2008. June 2010, she created Spoken Purpose Ministries, www.spokenpurpose.com. And February 2011, she has started a ministry within the church she attends, Temple of Truth in Kansas City, Missouri, called VERB, which stands for Venting Evil and Reviving Victory in Expression. She also plans to publish a devotional book of works fall 2012 and launch a new CD project fall 2013. Through her continued endeavors, she remains unchanged in her purpose to spread the bread of life through the meat of her words. Her tenacious and determined spirit will continue to be a driving force in her mission to show the world that we are all here for a purpose. I give you purpose.
about the time of teenage, uncle saying sit on my lap, then move like that, groom for it, so she knew the market. Kept the boy stocked with her love and creating bonds not easily broken, so it's no question as to why she thought she was ballin'. Classified herself as a bad chick, each text message in the pounds super thick with it. Men buy her dinners, lunches, shoes, clutches, play the game, do the do, and after the experience was through, it bid her a swift to do. Advertising, massages, pitch back page businesswoman, because happy endings after back rubs isn't equal prostitution. Shopped her photos to a suitcase pimp who called her a star, flew her to the valley to be the next Queen Noir on the set of a dingy production studio. No polish sparkle, no stylist, no makeup team, just a mirror and a dirty sink, dung all over the toilet seat, used enema bobbing in the water, empty enemas, full condoms, saturated tampons, pads, and filthy rags all around her. First day at work. Past 2 weeks, 2 months, a year has lapsed, waking morning after morning and morning of her potential, night after night sitting in six baths to compress swollen lips and bruised clitoris every 28 days, STD and HIV screening for a risk presented daily in an industry preoccupied with money, so some tests are subject to faking. Contracted a few times, chlamydia and the clap, found out if you had herpes, they let you work with that. Sponges stuffed up to her cervix to prevent the sewing of her menstruation, needing someone else to take it out of her after penetration, she numb. Psychological massacre, gone in the head, she gagging, as he thrust himself down to the deepest parts of her throat. While vomiting, she drifts, wondering what real sex is. What is this BS I'm attempting to portray, to be loved and caressed, to have someone care for your needs, your wants, not spitting on you and calling you cunts. No director yelling, cut! Freeze frame, arching her back further into the contorted position, knees shaking, spine stuck for an hour. Back spasms, grimacing and growling, pretending to have gasms. Her body involuntarily releases pleasure juices from distressed orifices in agony as she recites lines, it hurts so good, Daddy. He retorts, black slut, ebony cum dump, called her a white cock-loving whore, reminiscent of slave masters, assaulting women on plantations. The more racist and misogynist, the more they get off on it. And the moment she thinks this thing is coming to a close, he dives into a different hole. She never gave permission, never wanted it this way, didn't even discuss the pay, never done this before. Afflicted and suffering, crying, yelling, screaming, fighting to be freed. Rendered defenseless against violent sodomy, reliving childhood molestation live on video. Her screams, destined for the editing floor to be replaced with voiceovers of her begging for more, and after he shoots on her back and in her hair, she lay there, used. No time for cleanup crew. We got another shoot to do. All the puke, urine, blood, and semen will stay as the director yells, get your whore and tail back here with a towel, for Christ's sakes. Done. Finito. Left everything, searching for help, advice, solace in solitude, the promise of new life and friendlier attitude. She went to the shelter, started attending church, talked to the pastor about her past and her work. His voice sounded concerned, but his eyes looked familiar. Looking her up and down, his pupils got bigger. Hoping for salvation and searching for truth, but knowing some pastors are addicted to porn too. She is the one they whisper about. The women with their higher than thous, operating in panic and inferiority fears, casting their stares, desperately guarding men, praying they don't have affairs, and the men publicly look at her in disgust, promising that they won't stray, but then approach her in secret, giving lustful looks in the hallways. Porn stars/prostitutes, used like prophylactics, injected with bodily fluids and thrown out with the trash, desperate/struggling, body shaking from withdrawal, jitters, destruction of her temple, scars from the annihilation of her mental, and you judge while you secretly seek her out, viewing in isolation, having wet beaks with Fifi, wet beaks with Fifi, rubbing yourself deeply, fantasizing continuously, watching her have this pseudo, great scene with deep penetration in 3 holes from some random delivery man, her girl and his friend curling your toes, she is getting stitched up. From being ripped anally, sphincter weakening, incontinence impeding, vaginal lining falling, nipples bruised and bleeding, suicidal. No time for her mind, her body to heal. You know, film production by day, prostitution, entertaining her fans and famous friends by night. And you have an all-out fast forward, rewind, 3-minute love affair with her. Erase the web history and the cookies, hide the DVD, and then deny her existence. How dare you? Look your nose down on her. How dare you? Care more about the harm and testing done to animals, pit bull fighting rings, Chick-fil-A owners' opinions of gay marriage and all the other things you decide to pawn your bleeding heart after, yet patronize this pro-institutional, prostitutional establishment where never is there a disclaimer on a porno saying no people were hurt, raped, maimed, deeply scarred, or given an incurable communicable disease during the production of this debauchery. None. You keep this business going, growing, and successful. $13 billion a year industry, and that don't even count the internet stream. Your purchases, late-night indulgences with those that call themselves amateurs, yet are 10-year professionals. You keep this industry accessible to those looking for the glitz and the glam, but wind up getting sucked into an abusive sham. Yeah, you say they did it to themselves, but they are still people in need of help. Yeah, you were sexually abused too, and you even have unhealed wounds, and I didn't even mention the percentage of marriages ruined due to sexual compulsion, or the heterosexual men who do gay scenes because scenes with men pay $2,000 when scenes with women only pay $50. Or the 37% of pastors who are porno addicted, or the 20% of internet pornography that involves children, or the 10% of adults who say they suffer from sexual affliction, and 28% of these are women. Or the 29% of these so-called Christians who say viewing this is suitable, openly downing alternative lifestyles while being closet lesbians and homosexuals. And these only represent those who are either asked or unafraid to speak on this topic in an anonymous way. Prostitutes and pornographers, most of them dead by 34. Slaves of sex trade shipped here and there to appear before video cameras. Victims of sex trafficking, sold and bought in person and on shelves. These are people fearfully and wonderfully made, meant to be respected and loved, not discharged like vaginal secretions, treated like panty waste to be shoved under the rest of your dirty laundry. They are not commodities. Even though they bought into the world's lie and are treated that way, they are still in need, and God can and still will heal them only if you quit judging them and share Him with them. Thank you.
Okay. She was born and raised in the heart of Kansas City's urban core. An unfortunate car accident that left her fighting to survive was opportune, in that it was then that she was first introduced to her uncle, founder and CEO of the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center, Leon Dixon. She credits her uncle for her broad and in-depth knowledge of African studies from a pan-African perspective, which she incorporates intensively in her writings. It was also during this time that she was awarded the Outstanding Community Youth of the Year from the Kansas City Public Broadcast Station. She was featured and shown on KCPT in honor of her bravery and determination to overcome despite overwhelming odds. After a hard fight and a long struggle, she graduated from Raytown High and later CMSU with degrees in psychology, biology, and the theater arts. She has worked and written for former government and Secretary of State Matt Blunt during an African American Scholars Internship and former State Senator Mary Groves blend. It was during this immersion in politics that she began writing poetry for spoken word performance. A 2-year stint in law school only intensified her desire to pursue her writing. She was sought out by Walt Disney World, Florida, as an intern of positive diversity. In 2010, she was awarded the Florida Miss Wheelchair USA title for her positive influence and representation of women on wheels. She has performed in many venues in several cities throughout the U.S., and her spoken word CD, which she self-produced and written, can be found on her website, shia.bandcamp.com. I give you Shia 10.
Yeah.
I think I must have pissed someone off. The devil's on my track and he has yet to let up. I'm being attacked on every front. It's hard to stand when the spine has been cut. I feel like Job when he was crying out to God, yelling up at him, asking what he had done. What do you do when you don't want to go? You look deep inside of your father's home. It is not my fault that you don't recognize truth when it's staring you in the face. Eyes open but don't see, blinded by this industry's hypocrisy of what fame should bring. Confused by infamous fools that hold the spotlight to the wrong thing. And everything that's negative, they call positive. And their ignorance is passed off as bling. Look at me and tell me, what do you see? And if you're not looking in my direction, you will still see me because my light shines so bright. This is red hung, bled, and dies, then why should I cry? If each day I'm crucified, and I realize that my body was broken. And sometimes I have to use my mind in order to attract the proper man. I manifest the worst seduction for subtract the echelons of genius can comprehend. How could you walk past the diamond if you saw a line in the rug? How could you not know that the pressures of my life are necessary in order for my light to shine forth? And right now I'm uncut and raw, but I finally rid myself of all that cold, that darkness that was weighing me down, the life of yesterday's tears. They tried to steal my smile. But listen, you grab life by the horns and you bring it down. I'm a queen and I refuse to bow. They try to cut off my knees and chop off my head, and I'm sitting, yet I'm still standing. So don't let this crippleness fool you, and let this empress school you on what it means to live by any means necessary. And not to be stopped in the tracks of lack, or the mentality if it can't be done. Because if you can't do it, then you just ain't trying hard enough. Or you ain't thinking long enough to discover where there's a will, the real will come forth, and that ignorance will get out of the way. If you're strong enough to fight, if you're strong enough to push, and if you're strong enough to wait. Because life has a tendency to move at her own pace. And it takes someone who's been pushed past exhaustion and tired to know that after being wet with the thirst of my dreams and quenched with the appetite of my desires, that the consistency of pure light is water and fire. And if you touch me, you just might get burnt. Or I might help you to discover your own thirst. But water the fruit of your dreams from this eternal spring that flows within me, water instead of living, so that you can live in the present moment of now. I recognize that what is done is gone. And What is to come has and has not already been written. But to truly live in the present is in. So stop living your life unable to move, afraid of what the mistakes of a wrong decision will do to you. And recognize the consequences will arise regardless. So do what it do, make it do what it do, and live your life to the fullest. Because life lived and waiting on life to begin is a prison sentence. And it took me 3 times to die. To recognize that life has more time to give than I have to spend waiting. So walk with your head held high. And recognize that the only time you have to succeed is the last time you try. And if you jack up, oh well, then just so what? Just do it better the next time. Because only through practice can you become a master of time manipulation and recognize the difference between living and waiting, between hesitation and patience, and recognize that it's and now can cross timelines or be caught up in a hair's breadth. And my breath will expand past dimensions 4, 5, and 6 until the theory of everything cultivates and lands me in the center of the space-time continuum. And my spit begins to fall on you like rain. And if you miss it the first time, just walk a little bit further, let it hit you again until your mind expands and your can'ts become yes I cans, and I will, and you will, if you will, find the will to stand. And recognize that your possibilities waiting to happen. If you'll just stop holding on, walk over to the edge, look over that cliff, and leap off. Let the wings of your dreams carry you through the turbulent winds until you land safely at your destination. No longer waiting on life, but life is waiting on you to decide to live free or to die trying. And like I said before, you grab life by the horns with all 4 feet tied with the rope, 3 foot on his head, and proclaim, look here, I can do whatever I want. It's a cry of shame because I thought you knew. You should recognize truth when it's staring right at you.
A dynamic and spoken word artist. On the scene since May 2010, she has featured at Soul Sessions, Poetic Notes, and was a part of the ensemble Lauryn Hill tribute cast. Avant-garde, she has performed at upscale venues such as the Blue Room, the American Jazz Museum, Dream Studios, the Unicorn and Screenland Theaters, and the Black Archives of Mid-America. In addition to many other local events and church gatherings, having a heart for her community, she mentors and was a keynote speaker at the Trayvon Martin Stop the Violence rally on the Plaza. She is a member of the Bold New Poets and the Arts Department. She has wild audiences in St. Louis, Chicago, and New York City. Put your hands together and show your love for a very dear friend of mine in Beyond Pain.
Writing myself into twisted knots, hoping not to be the forgotten she, but I'm the she that forgot me. Got so lost over my image's reverie that I hung myself from an artistry, claimed I did it for the artistry, so lay my body bare in a square for all to see, cause you know us martyrs don't bother with modesty. But now it's hard to see the me that I be, or that I'm becoming, or if she's becoming, I'm coming closer to my introduction. Hello everybody, my name is Mbiyane. And kindly, if you allow me, I will be your poet for the next couple of minutes. I'll try not to take up too much of your time. All right. Okay. Separated from grace. Alone, she says thanks, giving praise to the God reflected in her half-empty looking glass of water. She sips slowly. Her tongue is a battlefield, heavy under the weight of slaughtered angels and dormant dreams. Her tastes are distinguished, to say the least. And you should see her. She wears rhythm and blues on the day she's too brave for gospel, too secular for sainthood, a symphony of swiveling hips amongst a cacophony of heel clicks. Her eyes captious, pulse pounding like satisfaction will never learn her lips. She treats her heart like an alabaster box owned by Pandora. She sits in the midst of evil and croons a tune that I wish you could hear, and you should see. I can't do this piece. It's a really, really personal piece, and the name of that poem, if I was gonna finish it, is called "I Wish I Was Her." And I don't know if I'm ready to share that right now. Oh my.
Hey, light skin.
No. Oh my goodness. This doesn't ever really happen to me. Okay, guess I'll start over again, huh? All right. Separated from grace, right? Alone, she says thanks. Giving praise to the God reflected in her half-empty looking glass of water, she sips slowly. Her tongue a battlefield, heavy under the weight of slaughtered angels and dormant dreams. Her tastes are distinguished, to say the least, and you should see her. She wears rhythm and blues on the days she's too gray for gospel, too secular for sainthood, a symphony of swiveling hips amongst a cacophony of heel clicks. Her eyes captures, pulse pounding like satisfaction will never learn. Her lips, she treats her heart like an alabaster box owned by Pandora, always ready to crack and be open. She sits in the midst of evil, as audacious as hope, and croons a tune that I wish you could hear, and you should see her. She orates like origami, strums every vocal chord as if she composes classical masterpieces in the urban vernacular, never assessing her value. She is invaluable, like a trip to her heaven. Every time God tugs on the corners of her mouth, her smile is sunrise. She is sunlight, reflected off the shards of a shattered stained glass window. I mean, even her destruction depicts her as beautiful. So no matter how many times she ends up broken, I wish I were her. I wish I could decipher the ciphers in her cervix. Find out why she's not impressed by a man that can only beat box. Would I be shocked if I shadowed her? What if I took some of her stage fantasies and brought them into real life without realizing that on most nights she only wishes to be vulnerable? What if I could make her silence audible? Would you still care to listen if the mystique were missing? Because it seems that envy on makes folks turn their envy on, so it only makes sense that I wish I were her. No more than a moniker or a name on a list, something to be competed with, a carriage horse cracking under the weight, carried and whipped, a canary with its wings clipped and cramped and caged, ready to use makeup to paint on a clown face, and it's all okay, just as long as she gets claps when she walks off the stage, and I wish that I weren't her. A Rubik's Cube of ridicule and rumor, an emotionally enigmatic, picturesque paradox of carefully crafted confusion, a believable illusion, hidden, hollow, separated from grace. Alone, saying thanks, giving praise to the God reflected in a half-empty looking glass of water. I sip slowly. My tongue is a battlefield, and heaven knows that my tastes are distinguished, to say the least. That was kind of a disaster. Their first piece. I guess that's getting the jitters out, shake them out. So I'll do this next one and I'll be out of you guys' hair, I promise. So I got the light skin, the A light skin, right? Oh, this poem. Okay, so this poem's called Light Skin Bitch. So let's do that because you gotta give the crowd what they wanna hear, right? Okay, so one day I was walking by with my model walk and I caught the eye of this awkward guy, so I straight like my disgust at his initial cries of light skin. Yo, light skin. What, so you too cute to speak? Light skin, bitch. Whoa. Was he talking to me? It was a possibility. But with such a foul mouthpiece, I knew other females would reject him eagerly, but instinctively the speed left from my feet to the words I chose to speak. Light. Thank you for recognizing that I'm fairly complex, and though you may not suspect it, I am also fairly complex. From queen to slave master's plaything, my skin tone has been a defining aspect. I know that you would love to objectify me. Find no other use for me than a woman to your bed sheets. Drench me in colloquialisms like freak without acknowledging the length and depth that my mind may reach. Forgive me if I preach, but my essence was in existence before there was a definition for the word definition. Yes, I am that bad, and if I may add, just while we're on definition, definitions, like me having little weight when I'm quite heavy. The one on my shoulders is one that you could carry, so you try to marry me off your ideas of what womanhood should be. Confusing me with those who get excited over your cries of baby. Maybe you've never experienced the lady, or maybe you're accustomed to the shady type, or those who are so addicted to pipe you would think it was a glass dick. And before I forget, let me address this word, bitch. How dare you try to mishmash me into a misogynistic moniker and make a mockery of the fact that mentally I could mother you and raise you up until you deserve the title man, and not just another dude, racing to the place of stereotypical stupidity, checking niggas like you is nothing new to me, but honestly, I'm tired. You see, I thought the time for all this black on black disrespect had expired, but I guess not. What happened to the times when nurturing and acquired for survival, I stared at the space behind his eyeballs was no longer idle. And he stared at me as if he had intentions of making me bridle and said, nice. I mean, I'm trying to make you mad. I should have simple, yeah, you straight. Read. Y'all did my swagger and sashayed away, but I'm gonna say that was the first time being called a bitch ever made my day. So, that's that piece. But like, sometimes you just really gotta speak to somebody's soul with it, right? And it's called like, and sometimes when you speak to somebody's soul, you speak like some, they call that prophesying, right? Okay, so I don't falsely prophesy, right? Because those prophets lie to keep their prophets high. I have a penchant to privatize. Promote the probability of permutations like pundits during primaries. I probe with a precision unprecedented. Make every decision executive like the president did it, but I don't think y'all listening. See, I rest on the premise that the precipice my feet are pressed against is starting to piss some of my predecessors off. Got some praying for my downfall, passing me off as she's just a poet who performs for plaudits but pauses to you persecute me pointlessly. I'm not psychic, but my sixth sense says that you ain't worth 6 cents, and I got a 6th sense of resilience. See, God himself planted a seed in me to grow a poetry, but staring in the mirror, speaking to self, I ask me, yo, Envion, why are there people trying to ask me? But see, I realize that real lives lay like sleeping dogs do, and a rumor will run the town before the truth even puts on its shoe. I'm telling you, perception ain't always reality, and if you got a problem with my personality, prepare to clash like titans. I'll meet you on the playground with a pocket full of posies like Poseidon and Peripheral. I be that deep. I am Persephone, a pretty prisoner. One missed paycheck from partaking in the pomegranate. I oftentimes take the gift of my palm for granted, yet I still lift my hands in praise. This is a preamble. I was probably put my life's purpose on paper. More poignant than professional pay is my proclivity to procreate lyrically. Spiritually, I'm on a pilgrimage. I guess I better pack lights. Like me having a little weight when I'm quite heavy. The weight on my shoulders is more that you can wait. That's a line from my previous poem. I guess that means I plunged into my past, but the past itself has lessons. Lesson you know where you've been, you'll never know where you're going. Did I perplex you? Because I just turned this poem into a parable. My paradigm paramounts the parameters of your preconceptions, and I attribute this 100% to my provision, which enables me to present principles in front of people who may believe they are more prominent, but I'm pondering. What part of your being makes you a better human than the human I'm being? I'm going to repeat that because I said, what part of your being makes you a better human than the human I'm being? There won't be a prize presented to the person that possesses the most pomposity. See, me, I just stay on my pursuit of happiness like I got a living room full of machines that measures bone density. I have the propensity to be precocious. Shout out to Dougie for giving me the title to this poem. I have the propensity to be precocious. Whether or not that is true will not be for you to choose, but if you want to make this a popularity contest, then smart money says you'll lose. But I never falsely prophesy, because those prophets lie and lie when I can simply promise you. Thank you so much, audience. You've been absolutely wonderful.
She's intellectual, creative, analytical, a poet, a singer, and an artist. She began writing at age 9, then began to sing at age 11. Her proclamation to be an artist is daily. She deeply believes that the establishment of her gift of creativity embarked in the womb.
Oprah be free, so Oprah be liberal. Oprah be honest, Oprah be literal. Oprah expose them all, Oprah be satirical. Oprah be deep, Oprah be so spiritual. Oprah silence, gold and put fear in ya. If Oprah be quiet, then Oprah be miracle. But Oprah be poet, so Oprah be lyrical. Oprah be Oprah doper, who's doper than Oprah spitting copra. Allergic to bullshit, that grimy, slimy, that Oprah. I'm just warming up, bruh. Turn up the mic, check when too much going on. Living in this fast life is what we make it out alive. Say what you want by me, say what you like. Never let that talk shit jeopardize my sleep at night. Press play, fast forward, then rewind. I'm so busy watching demons being conquered by the angels in my mind. I'm so conscious viewing life from my 1, 2, 3, third eye. Oprah be not here for you, created by and for the most high, right? So Oprah be free, Oprah be liberal, Oprah be lyrical, Oprah be lyrical verses from the surface of the earth to the universe, reverses back through the city of verse. Out in the streets, they call it murder. Diverse, don't let these rhymes die. Spit poets, spit verses, spit flows, spit soul, but no, these poets don't spit no more, no. All they do is this. Why does every poet rhyme like this? Rip shit to your throat, so till you can't spit no more. Oversell this your lyrical dope. Spit so nasty, perverse flows. Me versus he and verses, verses in verse. You knock my rhymes, I call it conversation. Flowing from his lips to my eardrums vibes. Beats of his heart, rocking reverse time with mine. Top of the spotlight, oversee the shine. Reverse the verse, vice rhymes. Rhymes, vice versa, reverse, oversee the shine. Beats of his heart, rocking reverse time with mine. Vibes from his lips, conversations in mine. Converse, knocking rhymes. Inverse versus ad versus me versus he. Perverse spit so nasty, yo. But we oversell this lyrical dope. I can't spit no more. My throat's sore. I be like those poets who be rhyming like this. Flow spit versus spit, dope shit, rip shit. Rhymes die, don't you ever let it out in the street. Murder is what they calling it. Diversity chick versus this city, bitch. From the universe of the earth surface, this verses of lyrics. That's it for that piece.
That light is really killing me.
The day you left, taking away my joyful feelings, leaving me hopeless with depressed thoughts of you. I'm helpless to see, think, feel, breathe, and move, and I'm speechless because I need you in my life. I need you in my songs because without you, songs become wordless hymns and hip-hop becomes what it is today. A bunch of materialistic niggas spitting clever lines, but they don't have any real shit to say, but yet they say hip-hop is dead. But maybe it's a lie just feeling miserable like I do because I'm telling you poetry, there's something that you do because doing my 5 hours of writer's block, I feel so lost. I feel so strange, I feel so confused, I'm at a loss for words. I can't even metaphorically speak without you. It's like my words have become depleted, like I flunked English in high school, and I'm just saying, I have a ghostwriter. So as the spirit speaks, I write. And when the spirit leaves, so do I. And you left without saying goodbye, so I'm sitting here, I'm writing this piece, asking myself why. But as I wrote this piece, my poetry spoke to me saying, because I'm in your heart and mind, impossible for me to leave. You and I have become one, so that too makes you poetry. I am poetry, I am poetry, I am poetry, I am poetry. I am poetry, I am poetry, I am poetry. Solitude is what I walk on. If I ever get lost on this road, I know my poetry will console my lonesome soul. Shalom.
Poetry is not an expression of the party line. It's that time of night, lying in bed, thinking what you really think, making the private world public. That's what the poet does. Allen Ginsberg. Born and raised in South Kansas City, Missouri, Miss Angela Rue has always been a fan of language. Starting with writing short stories at age 8, she did not find her poetic voice until her early 20s. She describes her poetry as a vessel for people who cannot speak for themselves and providing edutainment on what it means to be a woman in today's social climate. She has featured at Poetic Notes, Avant-Garde, and the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill Tribute. She is also member of the KC Conscious Poetry Collective and has performed at some of KC's premier poetry venues. I give you Miss Angela Rue.
How y'all doing? I'll back up, this light is kind of bright, so I need to see people. where the stages blaze to the sound of crickets, where the sketcher's paint spills on canvas like a blood sacrifice to the gods, Picasso, Dali, Kahlo, veered into the astounding sight of blind eyes, the rise and fall of a drummer's ride, a horn's vulnerable breath on ears that are deaf. We definitely must be in Kansas City. Paris of the plains, plain irony if you ask, we the artist, the idiot savants of syntax, the soul strippers, the cracked mirrors that reflect your beautiful, ugly complexities, the town criers and guttural screamers, roar, shocked. We are misshapen blots of black waiting to be studied and interpreted for your $5 entertainment. There's value in your psychological evaluations. There is ecstasy in the pounding of flesh in rhythmic ways. But Casey, you're quick to throw hands, pull triggers in the name of respect, oftentimes resulting in death, than to show love to the readers and the doers of the word that affirm that you are alive and feeling something when given. Your energy is orgasmic, but you turn your back to us. You ration your reactions, so we crawl into ourselves like inadequate lovers, feeling that we don't measure up, looking for something more than your side conversations, your random ringtones, and your indifference. Kansas City, we are longing to pull you close, but you want to push us back. We are dancing naked in this moonlight, hoping you catch a glimpse before we slink off into the night of brighter lights and bigger cities, never to return home. We are derelict Dorothy's, clicking our proverbial heels, saying there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place in this home for we, the artist, the majestic vagabonds, the thrift store supermodels, the linguistic pyromaniacs that set stages ablaze to the resounding sound of crickets. Shh. We must be in Kansas City.
Originally from the land of oceans, sands, mountains, and Golden Gate Bridges, California, this woman is a West Coast girl to the core. Her love of poetry began at an early age, and she is always in tune with the words in her heart. After relocating to the Midwest in 2003 with her two boys, she was reintroduced to the poetry scene by a local KC poet, and her passion for the pen was reignited. Design House was born. Despite periods of poetic silence, she continues to write something almost every day, whether published or not, whether put to music or not, whether spoken aloud or not, and it's from this place that she shares her words with you today. I give you Nicole Anderson.
I'm gonna be difficult. Can everybody hear me? All right, I'm gonna stand over here. Slowly stepping out onto the stage, I'm blinded by the glaring lights. They're heat upon me like the sun, and I feel bare under the shine. It's with knocking knees and shaking hands that I step into the spotlight, paper trembling, heart beating, head banging, and I must get it together, for the show must go on. There's no time to be afraid. There are many eyes upon me. I'm not ready, and I fear I will never pull this off. For who am I to be up here? You who will judge me and say that this is not art. I am no artist. I am no artist. I am no wait. If not for this stage, if not for these lights, if not for the eyes in those seats staring blankly at me as I begin to sweat, wondering what am I going to do next? If not for them, I could just as easily be in my room in front of my mirror. Radio blaring, hairbrush mic in my hand, prancing around and reciting the words I know so well in my head. I wrote those words and I set them to my own beat. I did not write them for you. No, I created this story to free me in my mind. So in fact, what you call art may not be mine. Yet the words flow like paint from Van Gogh's brush, hitting canvas with a swish, dipping onto the paper, my ink flows free, and I create magical art with my fingertips and a pen. I'm an artist, I'm an artist, I'm a poet. This was called First Class. If not for the form of my exterior, you would never judge me not to be a warrior. My rage runs just as hot as yours, and I dare you to try me if you doubt it. I carry a sword and a shield, fight the battles right alongside you, never missing a beat, and still you think I am the weaker sex. Me who carries children and gives life ever golden when taken as a first breath, me who must care for young and old, and still smile as if to say, don't let the beauty fool you. I can still cut deep. It is that exterior, that shape, that guise. It gets to you, gets under your skin, in your thoughts, invades your mind, makes you simple, and then, dare I say, weak. So that I then may strike, win the battle, and show you I'm a warrior of the first class. Fit to battle any enemy, I train in the dark, at night, when the kids are asleep while you slumber beside me, I train my mind, sharpen my skills, shape my craft. In the daylight when you see me, I may not appear to be on task, my body is tensed, ready for the first blow, and I will unsheath my weapon, block my foes, and strike back. One hit, and they are defeated. Never wonder if my skills are enough. I keep you safe, don't I? I'm a warrior of the first class. You who goes out into the world, chest thrust forward, head held high, smirk-filled face, as if you are the protector. Oh no, boo-boo, if you lean just a little, you will feel the cold, hard steel of my love. Lean harder, and you will see that it is my steps that have made the footprint in the sand. I carried you this far. Willingly though it may have been, and without boasting or pride, it is what I chose to do. Yet never forget who fights by your side. I'm a warrior of the first class. I got one. Okay, I got a couple minutes. Okay. It's called New Kind of Love. I want that smile in the morning, that kiss before you brush your teeth, that door open before you get in the car, those meals we put on the table with love because we know he likes our pot roast, but is not crazy about our dessert. Those long walks and talks, you know, the ones we do via email now. Oh, technology is a mother nowadays. What used to be handwritten letters, oh, we got email for that now. And what we used to say on the phone, you can say in all those short phrases on our phone. No more dates and long drives. We can Skype and tango the night away. So freaking romantic, it makes my heart swoon. Not. I have no patience for this new kind of love, and to tell you the truth, that is part of the problem. We make love like microwaves and treat relationships like drive-through restaurants. Our taste changes. We drive it on the street called life. I don't blame us entirely. It took some time to get here. From marrying to survive, to marrying for love, to marrying for money, the evolution is not pretty. Kind of like those ladies under all that stuff. You know, the airbrush makeup, the quick weave hair, the press-on nails, and the strip lashes with the glitter tips. Oh, the dress-up game is tight. What happened to taking care of love like we so carefully take care of our cars, or protecting our mates like we protect our PlayStation 3s from the kids? We have games as adults while our kids are doing adult things, making babies living life like rap stars and video chicks. I just shake my head. I want love. Real adult grown-up love. I want the kind that makes your heart race, your face get hot, your body even hotter. And it hurts to be apart, but you endure because the reward is so worth the wait. Love me like that. Love me like that. Love me just like that. And keep all your new kind of love. Continental, so updated and modern, we rock the styles of today with the flavor and panache of yesterday, and we do it all behind dark shades and smirk-filled smiles. That just means we know our shit. Not to sound conceited, but at our age, we're coming into new knowledge. Gone are the days of innocent questions and naive responses. We are ready for the game. Got our stiletto kicks and jersey dresses, our pigskin purses and fashionable gear. This inning is ours, and we're hitting it out of the park. You won't find us simply waiting. We make moves and shake the haters. It's not anything like the game of your day, mama. No, no, no. The rules have changed, and we are the CEOs of the enterprise called life. We keep home and our kids, make money and make love, have husbands and happiness, take no prisoners and no mess, all with a smile and signature style. We are so continental, so updated and modern. A woman for today. Thank you.
I'm on the go. And I was up so high. Don't let me fall. And I was shooting for stars on this Friday night. What goes up must come down. Don't let me fall. See, it was at a very young age in a pet store. And I asked my mother for a bird as a pet. And she smiled. And I never forget the look in her eye, and she looked back at mine and said, son, someday soon you're going to have to choose what type of bird you're going to be yourself. You can be like the ones outside in the sky free fall, like the ones you see. You can be kept. And I really didn't understand what she meant, but like always, I listened anyway. And she went on to say, like many things, it's by God's divine nature that man don't teach birds how to fly, nor can man fly himself on the inside. He holds hate for them. That's why he clipped their wings. Caves that make them sin to disguise as envy, because inwardly, he secretly despises the bird's ability to soar towards the heavens, but God in heaven and make birds sing in man's cages, now did he? And at age 7, I really didn't understand this simile or metaphor, but metaphorically it hit me recently. Mama was saying man will manipulate you. He'll put limitations on your God-given abilities and humiliate you by telling you how and when to use it. And then remove it when it doesn't amuse him so well to start to confuse man with God himself. Because man will tell you anything. He'll say your dreams and have you couple up your own life. They're not the blueprints to your life like. The talents that God gave you are not your divine right like. God will give birds wings, not to fly like an ostrich. Man will ostracize your talents and pimp you like pirates do parents will strip you of the very reason that God sent you and ground you on the grounds that he himself cannot reach the clouds. And my mama made me unafraid to fly look down. She said, what type of bird would be proud? When his nest is on the ground, yes. A free bird survival is hard work. You gotta wake up early to get that firm. You gotta choose your battles. Sometimes you gotta fly south when it's warm and no, it's not all sunshine. Sometimes you gotta pluck your feathers and raise above the storm and land in trees and west your wings. No, it's the air we belong because God made birds sing in man's cages. And man don't know a thing about flying, so don't let them clip your wings. You try to dream. You can fly at your own speed, but no God, we can here to choose what type of bird you're gonna be. So be an eagle, be fly, be free, be part of God, don't be afraid to die for your dreams. My mama said, son, be an eagle, be fly, be free, be a part of God, don't be afraid to die for your dreams. That's that piece. I only got like 5 minutes. Well, not quick. I'm gonna get real going for y'all real quick. Is that all right? Okay. So there was a poet that came up here and talked about her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend. Why does he love you? Or he said he loved you away. I actually dated the poet, and I'm not that guy, but I did write a poem about that poet though. So, remember like this. See that I love is picture perfect. And I want us to last forever. Matter of fact, before I can think about us not being together, I'd rather open the anthrax letter. Run up on Mike Tyson and tell him Evander Holyfield still fights better. And stand there and go toe to toe and blow for blow with both of my arms settled. Before I can think about calling this thing quits, I'd rather swim in a pool of jellyfish, be hung by barbed wire, dipped in nitric acid and then thrown in fire before I can think about ending this. Because what we had is bliss and it's right. So right that every night I ask God to give all my guardian angels to you. And I did that to ensure that you live longer than I do. Because if you go, I have no reason to continue. So when I die before you do, I'm going to go to heaven and I'm going to wait for you. And if you're not there before judgment day, I know you went the other way. So I'll give the angels back my wings. I'll give up my crown and my mansion key. I'll let my long white robe down to heaven's gate and ask Lord for his art keys so I can sail away. Just to prove that my love is true, I walk through hell to find you. Because I believe that you are that beautiful. And the love that I have is picture perfect. Everything I did for that relationship is working, like that thing about going to Walmart and buying tampons and chocolate chips. Whenever you're ready, I want to learn how to take care of you during that time of the month because you are the one that I want. And to prove that, I found myself doing silly things like in the middle of the night while you're sleeping, I'm sneaking around the neighborhood stealing other people's good dreams just to get them to drink. I even thought about doing things other people. Like bungee jumping with just this love poem strapped on to prove you that my love is so strong to keep me, man, safe from harm. And I know I'm in love with you because one night you went home. I found myself singing a Beyonce song. And I was American Idol. The Voice. Duets. Like the songs I wrote. Check me out. I was like, oh, like a I figure I'll go out with all my male friends, and I buy a pinky pretty bathing suit. And in the middle of December, I would attempt to swim the Alaskan River. And then I figured, nah, that's kind of weak for your farms, but to be honest, I won't swim. Michael Phelps backstroke that Alaskan River, butt naked in the middle of December with no rest. 3 ice packs strapped to my chest, chewing 2 packs of Winterfest, just to impress her. And then if that won't do, this is what she could do. She could push me in a lion's den, smelling like zebra meat. And though I'm not Daniel from the Bible, I swear when I find that she be eating lion's meat as a delicacy because she was one for me. And the love that I have is picture perfect.
Amazing Nelson.
And I've seen quite a few ups and I've experienced many downs. I have made some friends and I've come out with enemies. I tested the limits of my mind with my soul running on empty, and yet I am still here. And I am still here writing away my years in exchange for tears. Those ones we shed the brink of happiness and those that come at the brink of darkness. And I'll be honest and say, I get so caught in faces that the world I exist as king becomes faceless, that my words end up misplaced, and my poetry ends up a face fest. So busy writing these words to make your fingers snap and your hands clap, I might as well be Waka Flocka, Gucci Man, Young Jeezy, Rick Ross, and every other wet nigga that comes out and rap with it. Many times I found myself caught in the rupture of my own mess because the words weren't pure. Because the stories I've told from my frustrations and not my love. Because the pain that we gain is an addicted drug, and I feel like I sniffed enough shit, I blew my nose in somebody's asshole. Everyone's input, never really be happy with my own. And yeah, I know all my demons are gone, but like my poet would say, yep, it feels good to be home. Because it's like bliss when the words start to talk to me again. Because we've been fighting so long, almost forget we friends. But maybe yet I am that father struggling just to raise his kids because they should never have to know what child support is. Or a teacher that pleads to his students to understand why these days the education is only open for a game plan, but what you do with it determines where you go. So let nobody, not your mama, your daddy, your boys, those haters on Facebook, those subtweets on Twitter, tell you it's okay to stop at the first number. So I wrote these words for you. That you who hates turning to the news and finds another issue. That you who prays in the street lights with a box of tissue, or maybe you just can't get through melodies and them words not hit you. But you who begins your words on miscue. See, I write these words for those whose talent doesn't allow them to say what they feel creatively. For that little girl who burst a baby mistakenly, I wrote these words for you. See, I wrote these words for you. And I wrote these words for that kid that thinks about bringing a gun to school, because I know that feeling, I've been there too. But a person who proclaims the world does not understand what you're going through. These words are for my friends Nathan Bowie, Larry Henderson, DeMarco Harvey, Brandon Charles, Follower McDowell, Just Jay Jackson, Anisha Gilmore, and Chantrell Golden, all the friends that I've lost in this rap race. But my Jesus, when I'm praying, when it's all over, I get to see his face. From my grandmother that remains a shine in my eye. From my mother that's taught me to never say die. From my brother that sits and never work and may never understand what it means to truly be free. And from my father that I love, because him not being there remains the best lesson he's ever taught me. And to this day, I think I never understand why God chose to make me a poet, but I'm glad to say my heart is his and he knows it. So despite what roadblocks been laid my way, despite who remembers what I said at the end of the day, these words, far from being someone unusual, someone that's just trying to get his way on the road to renewal. So all the failure I've been enduring, I just use it as fuel. And no matter what you think, this life I live ain't for me, it's for them. And I wrote these words for you.
What y'all doing out there? We ain't got much time, so we're gonna go and get this thing started. I'm 337.
I'm Priest, and together we are the recipe. Life's hard, y'all. Hard. Gas prices on the rise.
What's it like, $7 a gallon now?
Crime on the rise.
Per capita, Kansas City's pretty high on the list.
Murder on the rise.
We need to stop calling this killer city, y'all.
Precious Erica Green and Trayvon Martin in our eyes.
It's aggression.
Mental depression. Guessing, stressing through life's lessons. Poems flow with the freedoms of souls. Freedom screaming, never let it go.
strange fruit beneath my pillow. As I endured the stench of death's breeze gazing through my windows, I could see the cotton fields and the whips that kept them going. I felt the pains of oppressions and the joys of freedom's homecoming. Last night I talked them out and debated with Martin, and we all agreed that we need to be doing more than just marching. I spoke with Rosa as she refused to release her seat, sat beside her and inherited the courage to speak, and in a gentle voice she leaned over to me and said, "Life for me ain't been no crystal stair, so don't you sit down because you think it's kind of hard." And then she said, "Run!" All the way to Greenville, Mississippi, because I remember my grandmother had a plan to bring blacks back from the pitfalls of racial injustice. So she introduced me to Harriet Tubman, who gave me my instructions and said, "Run, black man, run." So I ran all the way to Virginia without delay, where I met with John Brown and Harper's Ferry on their glorious day, and rallied the troops when we recited, "If We Must Die," by Claude McKay. And just before they surrounded him with a lion's roar, he shouted, "Run, black man, run!" So I ran across 7 seas and down the streets of Ghana, where we prayed that the truth be spoken from the top of every roof, the bottom of every ocean, and the peak of every mountain. And just before he took his last breath, this prayer he prayed, "Run, black man, run." So I ran right past Story Island and out of the filth society buried my dignity in, and I rose, a phoenix, flying on the flames from the depths of my self-inflicted pains. I woke up this morning and a voice said, "Stand, black man, stand, for what it means to be the king of your land. Stand for those who have fallen victim to the prejudice of time, those who lost their lives on the picket line. For it is you that they fear, imitate, and despise. You are the blood, sweat, and tears that built this country. You are the farmer, cultivating your children's destiny. You are the activist, holding governments accountable for their actions. You are the lawyer, convicting Lady Justice and her racial imbalance. See, last night I tasted strange fruit beneath my pillow, all because my ancestors kicked, clawed, and scraped at my windows, shouting, "No justice! The revolution! No peace! Will not be televised! No justice! The revolution! No peace! Will not be televised!" Sparking in me a fire fueled by equity, education, and employment. So I woke up this morning and designed this rhyme, explaining how last night I fell asleep, third eyes wide, and traveled through time. And this morning I woke up for the first time.
The Art of Spokenword 2 tonight. It was truly a pleasure having all of you all's attention this evening. I would like to thank my Heavenly Father for making all of this possible. I would like to thank Terrence Williams for the opportunity to direct Golden Poets. I would like to thank all of the phenomenal poets who came out tonight in support of the Music and More Foundation. I would like to thank all of our supporters. We have D&M Beauty Supplies, the Community Fund Card, Lene LLC, Salon Barber Spa, Lene C. Smith, Salon Divine, Remus Confection, Big Bang Music Group, Mignon Catering, Studio 24, Egan's Photography, United Minority Media Association, Century 21, Jason Betts, Poetic Notes, Lava Works Virtual Assistant, I Dance with D, KCBlack.com, Tony'sKansasCity.com, De La Salle Education Center, The Mobile Group, Unicorn Theater, Black Archives of Mid-America and Kansas City, the Music and More Foundation, KKFI 90.1 FM, Cypher Sound, GYRL, and Leon Strickway. Now it's time for us to do our raffle. Thank you. Now if you all pull out your little stubs that came off the end of your tickets. Can we have the lights on it? Yes, thank you, sir. If she pulls your number, if you would, let us know where you're standing and we'll get your gift to you. We're wrapping up a Blu-ray disc DVD player.
Ready? Ticket number 151.
bow, we have Brian O'Brien, Serenity, Miles McMillan, Oprah Eagle Princess Brown, Nutlight Jones, Faze, Young Diane, Saj Kaya, Theory, Reality, Brandon Amazing Nelson, and Leon Payne, and the rest of TKC. We cannot forget our host this evening. We have Stephen Leon August. And if you all would help me wish him happy birthday, he just had a birthday pass. Happy birthday! And LaSonia Taylor. And we'd like to thank you for supporting the Music and More Foundation. Before we all leave, I would like for you to help me to extend a warm welcome to the producer of this event and the founder of the Music and More Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, a warm round of applause for Mr. Terrence Williams.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren and sisters to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down the skirt of his garment. As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, it was there where the Lord commanded his blessings and life evermore. I'm T.L. Williams, and I give to you bold new poets.
I do apologize. Everyone's name is not on the list. We also have a couple more poets. We have Miss Sherry Purpose Hall. We have Miss Angela Ruse. And did I miss anybody? We have Miss Shay Tan over here in the corner. Thank you.
Love of lyrics, and 7 years ago dated a poet, and she introduced me to a world that I never want to leave. I've been here since.
And how did you get involved with vocal poets?
Honestly, they found me, and I'm happy they did because this is a really great experience, and I would love every time I'm here.
Well, I've been hosting poetry slams, and that's how I kind of met Terrence. We met through the poetry slam circuit, and any opportunity that I get to work with bold new poets, I jump at it because they're a really nice crew, and they always seem to have a good selection of people in their shows. And it's a close family. Everyone knows everyone. It's one tribe, one vibe. I know no other way to live. Some people say poetry is the art of paying attention, and I think that's really the heightened state of expressing the world. Poets are like the mirrors of the world. We reflect the world back in a certain perspective.